Good evening, everybody. I really apologize. There seem to have been some technical difficulties, so I'm recording this video as a summary to the call that we just had. I really appreciate those of you who joined me on the call, and for those of you who unfortunately couldn't make it live and who I really want you to get the full benefit of the information that I'm trying to share with you and the skills and tools and strategies of how to feel more to have better willpower in your approach to reaching your health and wealth and weight goals. So one of the things that I want to highlight for you is and what we discussed tonight is what we are looking for when we commit to going on a diet, being on a diet, trying to achieve goals that of weight loss, is we tend to set ourselves up for failure because of very often the unrealistic goals that we set for ourselves or the unrealistic diets that we choose. So in my practice, I've been working as a dietitian now for 23 years. When I first qualified, I was very much aware of how I had been trained, that calories in equaling calories out means that you stay exactly the same. And if you create an energy deficit, in theory, it should work, that you should lower your weight over a period of time, depending on how drastic that calorie restriction was. And the problem with this is that in order for us to maintain such an energy deficit is that we often have to eat less and less over time in order to be able to effect the same results. Generally, most women that I'm working with, specifically over the age of 40, are tired of feeling like they have to motivate themselves and have this incredible amount of willpower to reach goals which are generally unrealistic because they are feeling so uncomfortable in the body and so desperate to fit into clothes that maybe don't fit them anymore, or to have better energy, to be less moody, to be less irritable, which are all signs and symptoms of this perimenopause and menopausal years. So generally, from the age of 40 onwards, your hormone levels really start changing quite a lot, and it can even happen in your 30s, but generally from the ages from 40 till about 60 is this period of time where we shift from our years of menarche to eventually losing your period. And these shifts in hormones can cause cravings, low energy, problems with sleep, brain fog, irritability, moodiness, obviously changes to periods as well. And all of this added to normal life stress and weight gain that generally happens at this age becomes very frustrating. And the old way of doing things, the old tricks of going on restrictive diets, whether it is Weight Watchers, counting calories, pre-measuring portion sizes, or whether it is just trying to eat in a slightly healthier way by maybe restricting and cutting out food groups, maybe you're cutting out carbohydrates, or you're trying to eat more low fat, or you're trying to look at low calorie foods. So when you try to be more restrictive, what ends up happening is that if you haven't slept well the night before, if you are energy depleted for a number of reasons during the day, your ability to stick to a very strict diet or very restrictive way of eating reduces. And we blame or we feel that we have failed due to a lack of willpower. So one of the things that I really wanted to highlight for everybody tonight was that willpower is something that is like a muscle that has a certain amount of duration that it lasts for. And once it is used up for the day, we can't get any more of it. Okay. So we either need to be very mindful of our energy output for the day. When we wake up in the morning, did we have a good enough sleep? Do we need to fuel ourselves differently today? So if you wake up in the morning and you haven't had such a good night's sleep, and then you expect yourself to be restricting what you're eating, feeling deprived of the food choices that you're making, all that ends up happening is that you're doomed to fail. It's almost impossible when you need energy for the day to stick to a very restrictive way of eating, or not eat enough carbohydrates, or not eat carbohydrates at all, or try intermittent fasting. And if you need fuel first thing in the morning, but it's not 12 o'clock yet, or it's not your fasting window, then all of a sudden you can't eat. You can't possibly eat, which means that you stop listening then to your own body's intuitive signs and signals. So the main ideas that I really wanted to put across for you tonight are the following: that we need to relook at whether willpower is something that we need more of, whether willpower is failing us, or whether the goals that we are setting and the ideals that we have for what we want to achieve may not be very realistic. So when we think about setting a goal, and this is something that the other ladies brought up on a call, when we want to achieve something and we have an end date, sometimes it can be a lot more motivating for us to work towards that, and we tend to have a little bit more willpower in getting to that goal because we know that we only have to do it for a set amount of time or a certain period of time. But when we have an indeterminate goal to work towards, when we are not able to say, right, for the next week I'm going to be doing this, and think about, oh, well, now I'm going to restrict everything that I'm doing for a year to get to my goal, it becomes very unlikely that you are going to reach a year successfully by doing that, particularly if you are restricting and depriving yourself, if you are not sleeping well and have low energy. So we eat for a number of different reasons. We discussed on the call, we eat because we are hungry, bored, because we want to, because we are noshing on things, because maybe we're emotional, maybe there's anxiety that we're experiencing, and our way of soothing ourselves or numbing ourselves is with food. So there are a number of different reasons why we may eat during the day. And what we are trying to look at now is, how can we nourish our bodies in the best way possible to give yourselves good energy and to be realistic about what you're trying to achieve? So I'm not trying to tell you don't desire to shed some extra weight and fit into clothes that maybe haven't been fitting you for a while. I'm saying be realistic about where your body is at, and perhaps there are changes in your hormone levels that are preventing you from getting to that goal. And food alone may not be what you need to focus and concentrate on. You may need a doctor to look at all your hormone levels and see where you are at. If you have also been a yo-yo dieter and you are always finding that you are losing weight, trying to maintain it, and then gaining weight back again, plus a little bit more, your body loses metabolic activity, and you are then in a position where you feel like you need to eat less and less in order to lose that weight. And in this phase of life, this 40 to 60 and maybe even a little bit older, it becomes a lot harder to do that because of, and this is something that I'm going to go into in a lot more detail on Thursday night, how your body is changing and how we are meant to, or how we ideally should be changing the way in which we eat and the types of foods that we're choosing in order to support our body in this stage of life. So what we discussed on the call was, instead of focusing on getting more willpower, maybe we need to consider that we need to structure our days differently or plan ahead in a better way where it's possible in order to set ourselves up for success. Because when your expectation is to eat perfectly all the time, that is not possible. I always try and encourage with my clients that they are focusing on the progress that they are working on, where they are trying to get towards, as opposed to this perfect ideal. It is not possible to change your habits from one day to the next, just like that, because we are programmed to do what is the most energy efficient for our body, what is the most energy efficient for our brain. And when we come up against stresses in our day and we're trying to implement too many new habits, it's not possible to maintain that, and we slip all the way back and we go back to bad habits. That's another reason why, and we'll discuss it a little bit more tomorrow night with self-sabotage, why it becomes incredibly challenging. So I'm encouraging you for the next day to take on one small thing that you can and do it well. I want you to feel completely successful in whatever you're doing. So if the example I gave on the call was, if you don't normally drink water, or you only drink 2 glasses of water, but you know you need 3 to 4, for tomorrow, I want you to aim at drinking 3 to 4 glasses of water. And I want you to give yourself a very big tick that done well. I met my goal for the day. If you normally rush out of the house in the morning without eating breakfast, or grab something on the way, and you know that this is going to give you low energy levels for the day, or it's going to make you feel irritable or moody because your energy crashes after you eat that, or it's not the best choice, or maybe it gives you a stomach ache, then for tomorrow, I would really love you to take a little bit more time, either to prepare something to take with you, or to eat something before you leave the house in the morning. So in whatever way possible, I want you to focus on one meal at a time, considering before you eat the meal, this is something else we discussed on the call, if I eat this specific food now, how will I feel afterwards? Maybe you don't know. Maybe you need to try it out. The example I gave was, for example, for me, if I eat too much normal white or milk chocolate, it causes me joint pain. If I eat too much challah on a Friday night, I can't put my rings on a Shabbos morning. So there's so many different things that can be an outcome of food that we eat. Maybe it's a food that you eat that gives you great energy, that you walk away from that meal feeling comfortable, not too full, not like you still were hungry. So I want you for the next day to drop any notion of counting calories, measuring portion sizes, or considering whether food is good or bad. I want you to focus on what I'm eating now, how will that make me feel after I've eaten that meal, and make your decisions based on how you want to feel after the meal. If you're not sure, eat the meal and pay attention to how you are feeling after the meal, and then you have information going forward of when you want to eat that same food again, thinking about it and going, right, if that is the outcome that I want to achieve, if I want better energy, if I don't want to feel irritable, if I want to feel comfortable in my body, but that food makes me feel a bit gassy or bloated, or it makes my energy crash, or it doesn't keep me full for long enough, then you're going to make a different choice the next time. What else we discussed was having a very clear and defined why of what you are trying to achieve. Why are you in the process of wanting to make healthy choices? If it is only about losing weight and getting into slimmer clothes, that is not always enough of a motivator to keep you focused and on track, because there will be days that even though you may be eating in a really great way and nourishing your body, that you still don't feel good in your body, or you'll look in the mirror and think, oh, I don't feel so good today, or you'll put your clothes on and maybe you're a little bit bloated from that time of the month, or your hormone shifting and changing. And if you are not feeling good in your body, then you no longer stick to the new habits that you're trying to achieve, because you feel like you're not succeeding. So instead of focusing only on weight as a goal, as an outcome, I would rather that you focused on that perhaps you want better energy at night, you want to sleep better at night, you don't want to be waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe hot flashes or something that you're dealing with, or night sweats, brain fog, joint pain, bloating, changes to how your body feels with different foods. All of these are better reasons to work towards why you are making better choices. So a very big motivator in life is when we connect to a very strong why. Why am I choosing to do this? And if it's only about weight, we historically know that that is not a powerful enough motivator, because if you get on the scale tomorrow and you weigh yourself and it doesn't tell you what you want to see, even if you're feeling good in your body and good in your clothes, then you are not going to stick to the plan that you're trying to follow because you feel like you failed, you feel despondent, you feel all the emotions, angry, upset. So focusing on weight is something that is not enough of a powerful motivator in order to get you to stick to creating better habits for yourself and nourishing your body. Right, we discussed a lot tonight. I really hope that I've covered everything. Tomorrow night, we are going to discuss the self-sabotage, what the inner saboteur sounds like, how to deal with this inner voice in a different way so that we are not affecting long-term progress. And then on Thursday, we're going to really look a little bit more at how to nourish your body over 40 and what the better foods are for you to be eating, or how to be going about eating in a way that gives you better support. So your action items for today and tomorrow are to choose one thing that you can focus on and do really well so that you can get a great quick win that you can feel proud of yourself for, and to pay attention when you are eating foods, how you want to feel after you've eaten that food. And if you are not sure what foods do for you, to make a note of, this is what I ate and this is how I feel afterwards, so that you are able to reflect back on that and gather enough data and information to make more informed decisions going forward. So we are not relying on willpower, which is in short supply, which is also more connected to having to work against your nature in order to try and achieve something. You encouraging you to rather work on building a structure and having a plan to work towards, and doing things in small bite-sized incremental pieces, one step at a time, in order to feel that you are really succeeding and that you can get closer to the health and wellness goals that you're trying to achieve. I look forward to seeing you online tomorrow night. Take care, everybody. Thank you for listening to the recording.